Welcome back everybody, we are here today with another Botania tutorial. Today we're going to have a look at how to do the crafty crate for some of those more trickier situations, for instance making a cake. Let's get to it. The design that I came up with uses mana detectors to output a redstone signal every time a mana burst goes through. The redstone signal then goes over the droppers and triggers them to drop one item. And that's how we control the order that the items go into the crafty crate, so as soon as it gets to 9 it'll just drop the cake straight out. A few other useful things for crafty crates are these crafting patterns and also crafting placeholders, which can come in really handy. For starters, I've already built this bit, so we've got a crafty crate in the middle there with one gap for the items to drop down, and we've got hoppers facing into that crafty crate with droppers one block above the hoppers facing down. Now make sure you're using the droppers and not dispensers, because else the items will go all over the show. And also make sure you've got that block gap, because if you have the hoppers and the droppers touching each other, the hopper will just draw all the items straight out. The next step is to go around and set your hoppers into each of these droppers. That's just so we can pull the items into the droppers. Then once we've gone all the way around, we can put our chests on each of the hoppers. And then we can place some item frames on each of the chests. Now we get to the mana detector part. We're going to be making a cake in this demonstration. So for instance here, we're going to be putting one item into this dropper, and that's going to be the eggs in this situation. For that, we can just put the mana detector right above, and when a mana pulse goes through that, it'll send a redstone signal straight into the dropper. Let's say you wanted to put two of one item into this recipe, then you can do what we do here and place a mana detector on either side of a block down here, and then just redstone dust running over the dropper. What that allows us to do is send a mana pulse through each of these detectors, which will send a redstone signal to drop each item individually, just like the sugar on either side of the egg in this recipe. And now we'll have a look at what to do for 3 items. So in the cake recipe, that's the same as the wheat and the buckets of milk. So it's pretty similar to what we did in the previous one with 2. All you have to do is add a mana detector on the back of this part, and it'll be able to send 3 different mana pulses out to send 3 different redstone pulses through. Because we got wheat and milk that both need 3 items, we'll do another one just like this around this side. But to add an extra 4th one, you could always just put one on top of the redstone dust like this. And if you wanted to do more, you can always just extend the redstone back and use your imagination for that. Then we can put a force relay on top of each of the mana detectors. And what I'll do is I'll fill up each of these chests with the ingredients, and I'll be right back. When you're filling up the chests, make sure you know which chest is going into which dropper and which way the hopper is facing, because else you could land up with a bit of a mistake, which will be quite annoying. And if you want to automate the item filling, you can put some hopper hocks on top of these chests. Now let's head over to the crafting table and make our mana lens for the redstone mana spreader. For this mana lens, we're going to need a warp lens and an efficiency lens, and the warp lens is because we're using the force relays, and the efficiency lens is to make sure that the mana burst goes as far as we can get it. Then we put the warp lens below the efficiency lens and put a slime ball in there. And we make sure that our product is a blue lens like the efficiency lens. Then place the mana lens on the redstone mana spreader and make sure the redstone mana spreader is facing up into the force relay. Now we'll get going on binding the force relays. What you want to do is grab your wand of the forest and right click on the force relay to bind it to the wand of the forest. Then head over to one of the mana detectors and right click on that one. So in this case it'll be our buckets of milk because they're going first. Right click on that, then right click on the force relay above it. And then we'll do this for the full recipe in order. The order that we're using is from left to right and then from top to bottom in the crafty crate. If you need a bit more help on that, have a look in the Lexica Botania, it's got a good explanation of that. Then after binding all of those, we'll just bind this last force relay to the block below the mana pool, and that'll just recycle whatever mana isn't used in this system. Now we'll give it a test, so we'll send a redstone signal into the redstone mana spreader, and you should see the burst go out. Now just have a watch and we should see our cake get made. And it drops down there with the 2 buckets, which can then be picked up and recycled for milk again. That's it for this tutorial, so keep in touch, we got a cake farm on the way. Also, tell us how you went with this one, and any suggestions you got, leave them down in the comments section. Leave a like if you liked the video, and I'll see you next time.